Hey everybody! So, Mandalorian dropped, and I am a little late in doing an episode 1 review, so let's do 2 episodes all in one, and I'll try and get the rest in a 1-by-1 episode deal. First episode was fantastic. What a way to introduce your main character. I was just glued to the TV non-stop for 35 minutes of the entire show. I think it was 35 minutes. Honestly, went by so fast. A great character introduction. We got the gist of who he is, like a little bit, what we needed in that first episode, to what his motivations are, what was his past like to bring him to that circumstance, a little bit, like we can kind of fill in the blanks a little bit. We see a much more softer side of him towards the end. Also with this new character that he meets and how that affects his character and what that may mean for him in the future. There wasn't anything lacking. Like, I didn't get to the end of the episode and think, I don't get it, maybe there's some things that I missed that would make him choose that way, but it was just so clean cut. Very much felt like a Saturday serial of what George Lucas was basing his original Star Wars on. Kind of feels a little bit how the original trilogy is, but as wacky as the prequel trilogy. There's just a lot of aspects that we see from previous Star Wars in this, and it's absolutely bonkers. Like, there was a lot of stuff where I was like, this would not make sense any other time, but on Star Wars, it makes perfect sense. From the first bit before we get the title sequence, that little bit, oh man, it was so good. The music, way the Mandalorian comes in, we get a clue in of how the Mandalorian works with his bounty, with his first bounty in the first 10 minutes. Very well done. He's good at his job, he knows what he's doing, but we also see him stumble with his next job, and like when he gets to the place and like when IG-11 comes in. And of course, in the second episode, we see a little more of that as well. There isn't one piece of this story in this first episode that made me think they didn't need that. It really supported The Mandalorian, or supported this storyline, or supported this world in a way that made the story better. I really think that is a clue into how smart Jon Favreau is with his storytelling and how he imagines the scripts whenever he's writing them. I just think he knows what he's doing, and it's very clear in this episode. I love all the wild, like, crazy things that happen. Like I said before, it's just bonkers. This world is absolutely bonkers. Star Wars is completely weird. Also, I love that we learned that the Mandalorian does not like droids. I think that's a very useful thing to remember, especially it keeps being repeated. I also like that we get little tidbits of like, the Razor Crest was pre-Empire, so we see how old the ship is. I just enjoy little things whenever they throw in stuff in Star Wars that's like, makes sense with the character, and also gives us a little more insight of the world. Makes it all just perfect. I like that we see he has like his own mobile carbonite freezing chamber, not as big and boisterous as like the one that we see in Empire Strikes Back. I think it's interesting that we see he has like 5 or 6 bounties that he gets at once. Makes him look very good and very good at what he does. I also like that we figure out there's a bounty guild. I don't know if I remember like any, I've read some now not canon Legends books, and I don't ever remember there being a bounty guild, and I like that little piece of information that we get in this. Like, that's really cool that there's a guild for bounty hunters. It's almost like a union type thing. I don't know, I found it very interesting and very entertaining. Werner Herzog's character, holy cow, he was so good, and to learn that he was probably ex-Empire with all those stormtroopers was just so good. And then later learning about the Mandalorian's past and what the Empire did to him and his family, just I love that. Everything we get from Rebels and Clone Wars about the Mandalorians, I ate it up. I loved it. The Mandalore has always been very interesting to me. I know some people don't like the Mandalorians, and that's cool. But I always thought, they had some kind of interesting characteristics to them or something like that. Like they seem so cool, especially in Rebels and Clone Wars. I love how they portrayed them and how divided they were. And then seeing how they were treated in the Empire days, also really interesting. And then seeing how the Mandalorian was treated and how his family was affected. We only saw like a tidbit of it, but also really cool. And I hope we dive into that more. Then seeing the Mandalorian armor scene was so cool, and seeing how he gets, the Beskar steel placed on him, and he hasn't revealed his signet yet. Like, that's just like, that kind of stuff I love, and how it's so well put, entertaining. just beautiful. And then whenever we see Nick Nolte's character, the man in the desert, he's just like this really cool extra character that we get introduced to. I'm literally like, this entire episode was so good. Just every character that we were introduced to was just... And then of course IG-11 coming in, and at the end seeing another species, a Yoda species, and maybe we'll get more information on Yoda, like who this baby, I know he's not Yoda, but who this baby Yoda like guy is, and how his species lives, where did he come from, all this stuff. Why is he force sensitive? You know, is all of Yoda's species force sensitive? Are they like the Wills, you know? But yeah, it was so interesting, and seeing the Mandalorian just gravitate towards him, and then that going into episode 2 with the Mandalorian trying to get to a ship and bring the baby back alive, or whatever he might do with him, and seeing the Mandalorian go through more trials. I think it's so interesting that we see all this within 2 episodes, and they're about 30 minutes, might I add. It's so concise and well put, but a lot of, like, especially in episode 2, I feel like the Mandalorian's character journey was very much closely related to Odysseus, in a way that he had to fight that Cyclops to get to where he was going, to like get to that next step. And I thought it was very interesting. He needed that prize. I don't know, I just found it's Star Wars is very much based in mythological storytelling, very much Greek and sometimes Egyptian. I mean, very rare stuff. You can definitely like put a string to it and make similarities, but it's much more Greek, it's much more Roman, and I love how we see that in The Mandalorian as well. It's so well done. The second episode was just fantastic. We see him going through another trial, we see him learning more about the child and how that's important to him and what this means for his future. All in all, I think that these 2 episodes were so well done. Beautiful cinematography as well. If you have not watched it, please watch these episodes. They're on Disney+. And also I want to add, the music is phenomenal by Ludwig Göransson. He did Black Panther, I think he did New Girl, like a while ago whenever it was on air. He did the music for that. He did Creed 1 and 2, and I know he did more, but that's all I can think of. But he did, he's fantastic. He's so gifted. That's all I have to say. I want to throw this up before the 3rd episode. Hi guys, it is editing Jessie right now, and I didn't know that was going to be a lie. It's already the 3rd episode is out, and I am currently in the middle of writing the script for it, and it will be hopefully out before the 4th episode. So yeah, didn't know that I was it was going to take me this long, so yeah. So sorry guys. Back to the video. The first 2 episodes are perfect. They're beautiful. They're what we need in the Star Wars universe. And I'll be doing more recaps on the next episode, so keep an eye out for that. That's all I have for today. You can follow me on my Twitter and on my Instagram, which we linked below, or the handles will be down below. And you could subscribe and like this video if you liked it, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!